Hey, what is up? Welcome to this episode of the Entrepreneur to Entrepreneur podcast. As always, I'm your host, Brian Lofermento, and I'll tell you what, this is the season of shopping, which is why today's episode, I think, is so relevant to all of you who have dreams of e-commerce and dreams of succeeding on Amazon, because today's guest not only understands that world, but he has a lot to share when it comes to leveraging money as well. There's so many lessons that we're going to learn from a strategic perspective today. Whether you're in e-commerce or not, today's guest is amazing. Let me tell you all about him. His name is John Schenkelberg. He's the founder and CEO of XL Ecom and Court Street Solutions. XL Ecom builds and manages fully automated Amazon stores for their clients. Court Street Solutions helps clients leverage credit to secure financing to start and scale their businesses. He has a passion for helping his clients achieve their financial goals through passive income. And just so you know, as someone who talks to a lot of entrepreneurs, John's background is a really unique blend. There's not many people at this exact intersection of growing a business strategically. So John started out his career in the banking world, but he realized that was not the career path that would allow him to live a happy, fulfilling life, and he knew that he was capable of much more. He began learning about the world of passive income and financial freedom, which is when he ended up growing his own passive income streams to the point where he reached financial independence. John has since built a successful company and uses expertise to help his clients achieve their financial goals through passive income as well. He takes great pride in seeing his clients succeed and achieve their own financial goals, which is why I'm excited about today's episode. I'm not going to say anything else. Let's dive straight into my interview with John Schenkelberg. All right, John, I am so excited that you're here today, especially with your cool backdrop of this Chicago skyline. Welcome to the show.
Thanks, Brian. Really appreciate you having me.
Heck yeah. So I always love hearing it from guests themselves. Take us beyond that bio. I tease listeners a little bit about your background, but give us those insights into how the heck you ended up doing all the awesome things that you're up to today.
Yeah, it's kind of a unique story. I started out in the banking world, and it didn't take me too long to realize that that's really just wasn't the career path for me. So I started really just kind of digging into different options and kind of coming up with different things. And what I really found was e-commerce checked all the boxes for me. Allowed me to kind of work from anywhere. There's a higher earning potential, and you could automate it a lot of it to become passive, which in today's world, that's essential to pretty much just building the lifestyle that you want. And from there, I just worked and got to a point where it was good. But before I even got there, what kind of a moment for me was I was actually on a ski trip. Everything was just so perfect. Unexpectedly got a ton of snow. The scenery was incredible with a really awesome person. And I just remember sitting on the flight about to take off to leave and just thinking to myself, I really want to spend more time here. And in order to do that, I really needed to kind of figure things out to where I didn't have to rely on a 9-to-5 job, and it would just give me the freedom to kind of live the life I've always wanted. So in that next year, I really just kind of got down to it, worked, extremely hard. And then roughly 1 year later, I was actually also in Utah, and I called my boss, quit my job, and then, I was full-time entrepreneur. And it was just such a great feeling. I kind of felt like I was floating a little bit the whole rest of the day. And from there, we've continued to grow and help more clients kind of achieve their goals and kind of get to, a good place and kind of where I was able to get myself. It's just extremely rewarding to kind of see that done for other people.
Yes, John, I love that story because I know that every single listener is going to resonate with that. That is the entrepreneurial dream. That's why we all do this awesome work. And I can so deeply resonate with you quitting your job and that feeling of, holy cow, I'm the creator of my own destiny from here. Such an exciting moment in life. And I want to start out with that very notion. You've already mentioned passive income. And I feel like passive income catches a bad rap. It catches deceiving. Right? There's so much surrounding that very term. And John, I'm sure that you get this as well as I do. People are like, well, if your income is passive, if you sell things online, why do you work? It doesn't mean that we don't work. So talk to us about passive income. What the heck does it mean? What are the myths surrounding it? And from your perspective, what's the reality of actually creating passive income?
Well, that's a great question, Brian. The reality is, most things do require some work. In my industry in e-commerce, there's a little bit of work from our client's perspective to, just create the store, link their bank accounts, and we walk them through every step of the way. But the true passive part begins when my team takes over, where we have a dedicated product research team that finds the products, we list them, handle all of the shipping. It's all done for them. And, it's a great feeling when you go to bed and you look at your account and then you wake up and you made money while you were asleep. To me, that's passive income, to where it just kind of comes in every day of the year and it's really hands off. It allows you to have the freedom to kind of live the life that you've always wanted. And to me, that's what passive income is.
Yeah. And I love the Amazon model because I think that so deeply illustrates what passive really means, because you don't even touch products when it comes to Amazon FBA. So obviously a lot of listeners in one way or another, we've had past episodes about FBA, different angles of FBA. But John, I love hearing it from your perspective because you're someone who's cracked the code. You figured it out for yourself and now you help your clients do that. What is the FBA model? What makes that model so unique and powerful within the world of e-commerce as opposed to, me starting an Etsy shop of some crafts that I love to create?
Right. The FBA has a lot of great things with it. Number one, a lot of people have Amazon Prime. 1 in 3 people in the United States have Amazon Prime, and when you order something from Prime, it's typically sent directly from the Amazon warehouse. That's why you're able to get 2-day, 1-day, even same-day shipping, and that's because those are FBA products. And 60% of all Amazon sales are done through third-party sellers, such as myself and such as my clients. And so it's a massive opportunity. Obviously, Amazon's by far the largest platform in the e-commerce space. So even just leveraging that brand is critical for just seeing a lot of success. And in terms of the inventory, the nice thing is it gets sent directly to Amazon. So you're not responsible for receiving an order and shipping it yourself. It's a lot more hands off. And a big plus of that is they handle all of the customer service, and your account is always going to be in good standing, because there's not going to be a late shipment or anything like that. If there is, it's Amazon's fault, and you're not really responsible for that. That rarely happens. They're the best at what they do in terms of their logistics networks, but being able to leverage that is just an excellent opportunity.
Yeah, it's interesting because you almost get to build your business on top of the world's most proven business. A business that has done this for, I don't know how long now. It feels like for us, it's been our entire lives that we've always been able to order from Amazon. But with that in mind, I feel like inevitably, probably a lot of people's first question when it comes to entering the world of e-commerce is, well, what do I sell? I buy a bunch of stuff off Amazon as a customer, but I have no products on my own. What's your take on that, John? Where do you even start in that process?
Yeah, that's, I do get that question a lot, and it's a good one. So we have a dedicated product research team that kind of does all of that work on behalf of the clients. We have criteria that we look for, make sure the profit margins make sense, how many other sellers are selling that particular product. And there's certain types of products that we don't really typically work in. We don't really do anything political or, no nothing, dangerous or, and, we typically steer towards, everyday consumer goods that people are going to buy and, hopefully rebuy, just your day-to-day products. And, that's worked well for us.
Yeah, it's interesting for me seeing your business because obviously you guys are good at what you do. On your website, which we'll talk about your website at the end of today's episode, but you've got the tangible numbers there of how many e-commerce ventures that you help launch, how many clients you guys are working with actively and brands that you're launching. With all of those things in mind, John, I've got to ask the question because a lot of people are probably feeling like they're too late, like they're behind the 8 ball when it comes to this stuff. I'm going to ask you this question in 2 ways. So one, I'd love for you to share with listeners where in their journey do you typically pick up and work with clients? Where does it help to have a trusted advisor who knows what they're doing on the Amazon FBA platform? So that's the first question. And then the second question, inevitably, which I'm sure you hear all the time is, am I too late? Is it too late to get into the e-commerce game? We hear that word saturation all the time. Give us your perspectives on these.
Yeah. So in terms of where people come in, most of the time they come in with either, they don't typically have a store coming in, and that's fine. We build things from the ground up. People come from all backgrounds, whether it's, they have a 9-to-5 job or they have other businesses that, they want other income streams to kind of add to that. And what appeals to them about us is that it's hands off for them, so they can still focus on the things that they are doing in their everyday life. It's not a huge time commitment. We get people from kind of all walks of life. And then in terms of your question about, is it too late? No, it's not too late. Amazon is growing. The percentage of people that buy things online is only going up as people get more comfortable with it. And, it's not too late. It's not saturated to the point where there's no opportunity there. You just have to find the right products. And that's the hardest part about this industry and this business model. But that's where we come in, and we handle that for them to find the right products on their behalf.
Yeah, I like that overview, and I actually think it's a really appropriate time for us to dive into this because as many episodes as we've had about FBA, as much as people have probably heard about the FBA world, we always think about the work that we need to do. And part of your stress and emphasis on this being passive is obviously having a management company, having an advisory company that is handling a lot of this stuff for us. What does a company like yours actually do, John? I don't think we hear it enough from agencies who are helping others to succeed. What are those behind the scene operations that you're taking so that for your clients, for people wanting to start an e-commerce, it can be more scalable and passive?
Yeah, the short answer is everything. We handle everything from, the purchasing of the products, the finding the products, getting them sent to Amazon. We handle that all for them. And, that's really just the big thing for the clients that they love about working with us is we make it really easy for them. It's not a big time commitment because they know that they have a great company working for them and with them. And, we just want to produce and really just change people's lives.
Yeah. And I think it's unique too. You heard me tease listeners at the top of this episode about your expertise is not just in the e-commerce side of the world, but it's also in leveraging credit, which obviously there's a lot of scary things about leveraging credit. There's a lot of powerful ways. I think every rich person, every successful entrepreneur in the world leverages credit. It's an essential part of actually growing and scaling. Talk to us about Court Street Solutions as well, because obviously we're talking about the e-commerce side of the world. But one thing that I would imagine, and as someone who's not an FBA, this is just me guessing this, so correct me if I'm wrong, but I would imagine that the key growth driver, the key to actually scaling an e-commerce brand is obviously having products that you can sell. And that's the one part of FBA that you need to have those resources in place is you need to be able to pay your vendors to ship things to Amazon so that you can make future sales. And that's where credit comes in. John, talk to us about that intersection. I think it's something that makes you so unique in what you do.
Yeah, no, started out kind of doing both things under one company, and then that's why. But eventually, they kind of work together because, as you said, they are so tied in together. Basically, what we do is we go through people's individual credit profile, create a funding plan to get them access to credit, whether that's, to initially start their business or in a lot of cases, it's to scale because how much you can scale is directly correlated to the amount of credit that you have, because we use credit to purchase the inventory, and the more credit you have, the more inventory you can purchase, and then therefore the more sales you have. So it's directly correlated. So by having that unique skill set, it's really been able to help grow our clients' stores, and so they're not hitting kind of a snag in terms of the ceiling that they have, so to speak.
Yeah, and I think that's an interesting window for us to talk about FBA through, is because obviously there's two sides of the cost. One is the startup cost. How much does it actually cost me to start an FBA store as far as inventory goes? Obviously, this answer is going to depend across a lot of different products and industries and all of those types of things. But do I need, $10,000 in the bank to be able to throw at inventory? Do I need to have $100? Is it possible to start, selling cheap things on Amazon and ordering them from Alibaba? What's your perspective on that? And then secondly, when we talk about scale, I think it's really important for us to put it into context for listeners, because obviously it does come with those scary terms of credit and all of that. But when's the right time to start leveraging credit, John? Is it when we've had initial traction? Is it when we know our metrics? Is it never too early to start scaling? I'd love to hear your insights into those topics.
Yeah, that's a great question. So, as you said, credit scares a lot of people. But if you really understand, if you have good credit and you really understand things, it's not as scary as it might sound. So what I've found, especially in the early days, is for our clients, is to open credit lines that have a 0% intro rate. So at that point, right when you start, there's a little bit of a lag between when the product is purchased to when the product is, in the Amazon warehouse for sale. So by using that, you're able to kind of, bypass any sort of interest risk, and, so you have that kind of security blanket. And then, 1 year from down the line, you have enough sales coming in to where, you'll be able to fully pay everything off, and you're not going to be carrying a balance. It just kind of alleviates some of that risk. And I guess to your initial question, about how much you need to start and when to kind of start using credit, you don't have to have it, but it makes it a lot easier. I tell people even from the beginning, just to start with a credit card as opposed to a bank account, because you can get access to more credit lines and you're not really going to hamstring yourself in terms of your growth. Theoretically, you could start with, $500,000, but how much are you really going to be able to, is that really going to move the needle in terms of your returns? Probably not. And, as a nice perk is getting those credit card points associated with it. They kind of add up pretty quick, and I know myself, I love using those, and our clients do as well.
Yes, I'm so glad that you called that out as someone who every single business expense goes on those credit cards for me, because you're right. Those rewards, when people ask me, how do you get to travel? How do you do this? It's because your money is working for you. And I think that's the important thing that I really want to call out here. When we use that word leverage, it's your money. You're spending that money anyways. You might as well get rewarded on it. But two, you're spending that money so that you can actually get future gains. I think about it. Obviously, we're talking about credit here today, but I think about leveraging money as well. For me, I'm in a season of hiring right now, where I'm just like, who can I pay to do things for me that produce more value, that in turn ends me up with even more money? So I really love that concept of leveraging. And John, along those lines, I'd love to hear your perspectives on ways that we can leverage that, because there's obviously different success factors when it comes to Amazon. You've already mentioned one of the key success factors is picking the right products. What are those other things that are going to determine our success or lack of success on Amazon FBA?
Picking the right products is the biggest one. If you don't find the right product, it'll just sit on a shelf in a warehouse somewhere. That's not obviously what we want. Typically our approach, which differs from, some other companies in the space, is we initially will, have smaller purchase orders. And then as we actually see those sales coming in real time, then we, start to, bump up the order quantity, conservatively. But then, once we really start seeing those sales come in, then, we start to put in those bigger orders, which even helps our margins. But I think just having a smart approach to it really is very beneficial. Because if you put all of your eggs in one basket, so to speak, you're kind of rolling the dice. And I think, if it works out, great. But if it doesn't, then what do? You're kind of in a hole. So I think just having, the right approach to scaling and to managing that inventory is critical. And then, on top of that, just having the right people in place to kind of, make sure that all the stores are performing, to make sure that, all of any sort of compliance documents are submitted and handled. I think that that's really important as well. And just kind of creating a great team, makes life a lot easier. And that's what we're kind of able to do for our clients. And, I think it's been pretty successful so far.
Yeah, I really like hearing your insights into that, because I think that a lot of things that are part of the mystery of Amazon FBA is what's involved. It sounds like hearing the way you talk about things, it sounds like once it's running, it really is a machine. It's a machine that runs itself, because you buy inventory, it ships directly to Amazon, customers order it. You've got built-in buyers, a built-in audience from Amazon as a platform. Amazon ships it. John, the inevitable question that I'm sure people have is, what do I do? If this is my business, what are my responsibilities? And I'd like to hear your perspective in two ways, because I think as an agency owner, you do have an interesting perspective here. Is one, if I'm trying to do this myself, what do those responsibilities look like as far as data analysis, managing customer satisfaction, all of that stuff? And then secondly, obviously, we are talking about having an agency, a management company like yours in place. How do those two operational efforts differ if I'm doing it solo versus alongside a partner like you?
Yeah, it really, in terms of the efforts, if you're doing it yourself, you absolutely can. But it is a time commitment. The passive end of things for our clients, it's passive for them, but there is a lot of work that goes on behind the scenes. So yeah, if someone wants to do it themselves, they can, and it is possible, but it very much would not be passive. They would be responsible for doing, A to Z, all of the, the various things that we do for people. So it's definitely an option, but I think, in terms of what a lot of people want, they want things that, it is a machine. We do, take advantage of just the power of the Amazon brand. And, for some people, it's the right fit, and we kind of check the boxes for them because they want just to take a more hands-off approach. Their responsibilities, they have to file their taxes and, maybe keep an eye out on their email and stuff like that. But it is, that machine kind of runs through us, and it's, it is a lot of work, but that's what we do for them.
Yes, I'm so glad that you highlighted that. Honestly, that's what I've really been hoping that today's episode shows, because people frequently talk about Amazon FBA in and of itself as an industry, that itself being passive. But you just highlighted there is a lot of work. It's really only passive if someone else is doing that work for you. So, John, give us some more insights there. I want to go a little bit deeper there, because I want listeners to really know the value add, not only that your company does, but the value add of those activities. That if you think you can just solo start an Amazon FBA brand and start selling products, no, because I'm sure inevitably, I've never seen the back end of one of these machines, but I'm sure there's a lot of data. I'm sure there's a lot of customer service. I'm sure there's a lot of sourcing of inventory and making sure it gets to where it needs to go. You've already talked about, compliance forms and all of this, things that we as Amazon consumers and customers don't think about. John, make this even more painful for listeners so that they understand the real work that goes into it to make it passive with an agency like yours. What are those types of activities?
Yeah, so the product research, we have a dedicated team that's what they do all day, every day, finding products, and they when you do something all day, every day, you're inevitably looking at thousands of different products, and as a percentage, a lot of them don't work. A lot of them, maybe the margins aren't great. Like we can't get them, at a great price, or there's too much competition. But we do find the ones that work, and from there, we have to ship it to our warehouse where it gets repackaged to Amazon's specifications. Because if they receive it and you say a barcode's wrong, well, then they'll send it back, and then we have to do it again, and it's just it's a lot of back and forth that we intentionally like to avoid. We have our distribution partners. That's where we acquire the inventory. If you're just starting out, you might not have those connections, and they take time to build, especially if you're just starting out and you can't necessarily purchase more volume because a lot of them have minimums. And then the shipping to Amazon, and then just kind of staying on top of any sort of documents or requirements or anything like that. And then from at least from my standpoint, just keeping in touch with everyone, like all of our clients is important. We're not a company that you sign up with us and then you'll never hear from us again. We really do care about seeing people succeed, and really delivering on our promises and what we do.
Yeah, John, I'll tell you what, this is why I've been so excited about today's episode, because I feel like when it comes to Amazon FBA, I'm going to throw online courses into here, for example, as someone who's done online courses in my own past, is I feel like we oversimplify things. No, marketers oversimplify things. People in Instagram ads and Facebook ads oversimplify things, and it sets people up for failure because it breeds, what's the term? It's uninformed optimism is the term, where people think, gosh, this is so easy. And hearing you talk about these things, John, these are things that I've talked to a lot of FBA experts. I've never heard a lot of these things that you're sharing with us today, but these are the realities. These are the realities so that we can have informed pessimism of saying, gosh, these things are hard, before we reach that dip and get through it to informed optimism, where we can say, okay, I've got a handle on these things. And that's why I think there's so much value in having a trusted advisor like you along the way to manage these things. And part of me, just picturing your clientele, I'm really fascinated by who is the type of person that can start these. You talked about, obviously we're here on the Wantrepreneur to Entrepreneur podcast. You already mentioned, you give a shout out to people who are still in their 9 to 5. Like, who's able to start this? Because part of me wants, and I guess part of that question is, do I need to take an interest in the products that I sell? Do I have to care about, USB hubs is something that I have on my desk right now that I recently ordered? Or is it really just me treating this as a business, saying, hey, these are numbers on a spreadsheet. These are informed strategic decisions. There's part testing, hypothesis testing, A/B split testing. Do I need to be invested in this, or can anyone truly do it, John?
Anyone truly can. Most people just really they just want things that'll produce income for them, and that's great. That's pretty much everyone's main goal in it. And then the biggest thing is just having being in a good financial place in terms of your credit and ability to keep in good standing, pay your taxes, things like that. Yeah, that's huge. And then what was your first question?
Yeah, I'd say the types of people who it is. Is it people who are in a 9 to 5? Do I have to go full time into this? I'd love to hear those insights.
Yeah, we see people from all kind of walks of life. A lot of people are in the 9 to 5, but maybe they were like I was, and they this isn't what I want. Or they are maybe a little bit later in their career, and they realize, living off of a 401k isn't going to cut it. And they want to add, another income stream that's going to be, long-term cash flow producing income stream to kind of supplement their retirement. or they are maybe existing business owners. We get a lot of people from the real estate industry, and real estate people are great because they kind of already view they view long-term cash flow producing assets. Like, they know the value in that. But that's just to name a few. There's not one specific mold that our clients tend to fit in. It's pretty versatile, and I love seeing people from different backgrounds coming in to work with us.
Yeah, I really enjoy hearing that, John. And as we are coming towards the end of this episode, I still want to squeeze a few extra questions in here. And I want to hear a little bit more of your brilliance, because I think that this is such an incredible world. And I think it's really fast moving. And that's really where I want to go with this question, is the speed at which things are changing. Because I would imagine as an e-commerce brand owner, things are always changing. Some products, it's not always a guarantee that this product is going to sell very well. And there's also changes on the Amazon platform. You mentioned changes in competition levels, changes in consumer behaviors. There's so many things that are always changing. How do you stay on top of that? What is it like to be flexible and agile and nimble enough in this industry to make those changes?
Yeah, that's a fantastic question. We have people that are dedicated to kind of staying on top of any sort of new regulations or consumer behavior, as you had mentioned. We look at various trends to kind of make informed buying decisions in terms of the products that we have. And it's there's a lot to it. When you work with a brand as large as Amazon, it's very dynamic, and there are a lot of changes, and if you don't comply with those, then that's when you start getting into trouble. So, being in compliance, following their policy guidelines is important. And that's, another thing that we kind of handle for people, across the board. It's just really important to kind of stay on top of all those things.
Yeah, so much food for thought. John, here today, I knew that you were going to bring us the real stuff about Amazon FBA, and you've so delivered on that. So many interesting tidbits. And with that in mind, I always love giving my guests the hardest part of the episode, which is somehow summarizing it, because you've given us so many things to consider, so many things to think about. There's a lot of strategic questions. We've talked about having the ability to grow. I love how much of an emphasis you put on our financial footing, because ultimately that's what's going to enable us to grow or make our lives more difficult. Maybe we have to take that slow path. So, John, with all of those things in mind, and with all of your experience on Amazon and within the world of FBA, what's your best advice for listeners? Whether they're sitting there thinking, hey, maybe I should hit up John and have a conversation. I've been thinking about FBA for a while. Or if they're already in the world of e-commerce, what's your best advice on what you hope listeners do from here?
Yeah, I think in terms of advice, I think people should just not settle. I think a lot of people, and I was guilty of this at one point in my life, just got kind of comfortable being where they're at. But just knowing that there are different, avenues out there to kind of create more income, give yourself a better life, give yourself some freedom, whatever your goals may be. There's just a lot of opportunities out there. You just kind of have to go and take it.
Yes, really good advice. And I'm going to call this out because, I've already thrown some slander on all the Instagram ads and Facebook ads that we all see, making it seem so easy. But John, I love the fact that you've come on here today and given us the real stuff, the stuff that you've lived personally that has inspired you and moved you to start in the world of e-commerce. And now you get to help so many other people do that. So I know that listeners are going to really enjoy hearing all of this advice from you here today, as opposed to just going beyond that high level, hey, this is super easy, you can do it. I love these insights. So with that in mind, John, I know that listeners are going to be super excited to check out all your stuff online, your website, connect with you personally. So drop those links on us. Where should listeners go from here to learn more about all this awesome stuff that you're doing to help people?
Yeah, they can go to excelecom.com, or if they want to just reach out to me directly, Instagram is probably the best way. J Schenkelberg. Just send me a DM. Happy to kind of talk, set up either just through DMs or just set up a call with people. I love connecting with people, and even if they, just have a question or something like that, I'm very open to helping people. It's just love meeting new people and be happy to kind of help in any way I can.
Yes, listeners, you already know the drill. We are linking directly to John's business website down below in the show notes, wherever it is that you're tuning into today's episode. You'll find the link to excelecom.com. So scroll on down below and click that link, as well as a link to John's personal LinkedIn and his Instagram. You heard, hey, you get to DM him directly. He's not just a voice that you hear here on a podcast, a stranger somewhere in the world. He's someone that you can actually reach out to. So find those links down below. Otherwise, John, thank you so much for being so generous and transparent with all of your knowledge and experiences here today on the Wantrepreneur to Entrepreneur podcast.
Thanks, Brian. I really appreciate you having me on, and I had a lot of fun.